You know, one of the greatest lies we tell ourselves is that we're waiting for the right moment. We say, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll do it when things calm down, or I'll take action when I feel ready. But here's the truth. That moment never comes. The right time doesn't exist. It's a myth. And every time you tell yourself that lie, you're giving yourself permission to stay stuck. You're giving yourself permission to stay small. And let me ask you this. How's that working for you? How's that working for the life you say you want to live? Because here's what I know. Excuses keep you stuck, but action sets you free. Let me break it down for you. Excuses are nothing more than stories. They're stories you tell yourself to avoid discomfort, to avoid fear, to avoid the unknown. And those stories, they're powerful. They can keep you trapped for years, even decades. But here's the thing. They're not real. They're just stories. And the moment you decide to stop believing them, the moment you decide to take action despite them, is the moment your life begins to change. Because transformation doesn't happen in your head. It doesn't happen when you're thinking about it, planning it, or dreaming about it. Transformation happens when you take action, massive action. Now, I want you to think about one area of your life where you've been making excuses. Maybe it's your health. You've been telling yourself, I'll start eating better tomorrow, or I'll join the gym next week. Maybe it's your career. You've been saying, I'll ask for that raise when the timing's right, or I'll start that business when I have more money. Or maybe it's your relationships. You've been thinking, I'll spend more time with my family when things slow down. Or, I'll work on my marriage when things get better. Whatever it is, I want you to really feel that excuse. Feel the weight of it, because that excuse, that's what's holding you back. That's what's keeping you from the life you deserve. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay stuck. You have the power to break free. And it starts with one decision to stop making excuses and start taking action. Now, I'm not talking about small, timid action. I'm talking about massive action. I'm talking about the kind of action that scares you, that pushes you out of your comfort zone, that forces you to grow. Because growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. It happens on the edge of it. It happens when you're willing to take risks, to face your fears, to step into the unknown. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but what if I fail? What if I mess up? What if it doesn't work out? And let me tell you something. You will fail. You will mess up. It won't always work out. But that's not the point. The point isn't to be perfect. The point is to take action, because every time you take action, you learn something. Every time you take action, you grow. Every time you take action, you build momentum. And momentum is everything. Momentum is what turns small wins into big results. Momentum is what transforms your life. So what does massive action look like? It looks like showing up every single day, even when you don't feel like it. It looks like doing the hard things, even when they scare you. It looks like taking one step, then another, until you've built a habit of action. And here's the thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be consistent, because consistency is where the magic happens. Consistency is where transformation begins. Let me give you an example. Let's say you want to get in shape. You've been telling yourself, I'll start tomorrow, for months, maybe even years. But tomorrow never comes. So what do? You take massive action. You don't wait for the perfect moment. You don't wait until you have the perfect plan. You start right now. You go for a walk. You do 10 push-ups. You drink a glass of water instead of soda. It doesn't have to be huge. It just has to be something, because that something, that's the beginning. That's the spark. And once you've taken that first step, you take another and another. And before you know it, you've built momentum. You've built a habit. And that habit, that's what transforms your life. The same principle applies to every area of your life. If you want a better career, take massive action. Update your resume. Reach out to a mentor. Apply for that job you've been dreaming about. If you want better relationships, take massive action. Call that friend you've been meaning to reconnect with. Plan a date night with your partner. Have that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. If you want more joy, more fulfillment, more purpose, take massive action. Volunteer, start a new hobby, spend time doing something that lights you up. Whatever it is, take action, because action is the antidote to excuses. Action is the key to transformation. Now, I know this isn't easy. Taking action requires courage. It requires vulnerability. It requires you to face your fears and step into the unknown. But here's the thing. You're stronger than you think. You're more capable than you realize. And the moment you decide to take action, the moment you decide to stop making excuses and start moving forward, is the moment you take back your power. It's the moment you take control of your life. And let me tell you something else. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to figure it all out on your own. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, who challenge you, who believe in you. Find a mentor, a coach, a friend who can support you on this journey, because transformation is a team sport. It's not something you do alone. It's something you do with the help of others. And when you have the right people in your corner, when you have a community that lifts you up and holds you accountable, there's nothing you can't achieve. So here's my challenge to you. For the next 30 days, commit to taking massive action. Identify one area of your life where you've been making excuses and replace those excuses with action. Start small if you need to, but start. Take one step, then another, build momentum, build confidence, build results. And remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about making progress. It's about showing up every single day, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're scared, because that's where transformation happens. That's where life begins. You have the power to change your life. You have the power to create the future you want, but it starts with a decision to stop making excuses and start taking action. So what are you waiting for? The time is now. The moment is here. Take massive action and watch your life transform. Let me take you on a journey that starts with a simple but profound truth. Your life right now, exactly as it is a reflection of the standards you've set for yourself. Not the standards you say you have, not the standards you wish you had, but the standards you're actually living by. And here's the thing, most people don't even realize they've set these standards. They've unconsciously decided what they're willing to tolerate, what they're willing to put up with, and what they're willing to accept. And that's where the problem begins. Because when you tolerate mediocrity, when you tolerate excuses, when you tolerate negativity, your life will reflect that. It has to. It's the law of cause and effect. But the moment you decide to raise your standards, the moment you decide that excuses are no longer acceptable, everything changes. And I mean everything. Let me ask you something. What are you tolerating right now? What are you putting up with in your life that you know deep down you shouldn't be? Is it a job that doesn't fulfill you, a relationship that drains you, a body that doesn't feel like yours anymore, a mindset that keeps you stuck in fear and doubt? Whatever it is, I want you to know this. You have the power to change it. You have the power to raise your standards. But here's the catch. You have to decide. You have to make a conscious, intentional decision that enough is enough, that you're no longer willing to settle for less than you deserve, that you're no longer willing to tolerate the things that are holding you back. And when you make that decision, when you truly commit to it, your life has to change. It's not a maybe. It's not a possibility. It's a certainty. But here's the thing. Raising your standards isn't just about saying, I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. It's about taking action. It's about backing up that decision with consistent, intentional effort. Because here's the truth. Your standards are only as strong as your willingness to enforce them. You can say you're not going to tolerate mediocrity anymore, but if you don't take action to back that up, nothing changes. You can say you're not going to tolerate excuses anymore, but if you don't hold yourself accountable, nothing changes. You can say you're not going to tolerate negativity anymore, but if you don't actively work to shift your mindset, nothing changes. It's not enough to just want a better life. You have to demand it. You have to create it. And that starts with raising your standards. So how do you do that? How do you raise your standards in a way that actually creates lasting change? Starts with clarity. You have to get crystal clear on what you're no longer willing to tolerate. And I'm not talking about vague general ideas. I'm talking about specifics. What exactly are you putting up with in your life right now that you know deep down you shouldn't be? What habits, what behaviors, what relationships, what circumstances are holding you back? Write them down. Get them out of your head and onto paper, because when you see them in black and white, they lose their power. They become tangible. And when they're tangible, you can deal with them. Once you've identified what you're no longer willing to tolerate, the next step is to set new standards. And again, I'm not talking about vague general standards. I'm talking about specific, non-negotiable standards that you're willing to live by every single day. For example, if you're no longer willing to tolerate a body that doesn't feel like yours, your new standard might be, I will move my body every day, no matter what. If you're no longer willing to tolerate a job that doesn't fulfill you, your new standard might be, I will spend at least 1 hour every day working toward a career that excites me. If you're no longer willing to tolerate negativity in your life, your new standard might be, I will practice gratitude every morning and focus on the good in my life. Whatever it is, make it specific, make it actionable, and most importantly, make it non-negotiable. Now, here's where most people get stuck. They set these new standards, they get all fired up, and then life happens, they hit a roadblock, they face a challenge, they feel overwhelmed, and suddenly those new standards start to feel impossible. They start to slip back into old habits. They start to make excuses, and before they know it, they're right back where they started. But here's the thing, raising your standards isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about showing up every single day, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it, even when it feels like the world is against you. Because here's the truth. The moment you let yourself off the hook, the moment you start making excuses, you're lowering your standards. And when you lower your standards, your life will reflect that. It has to. So how do you stay consistent? How do you stick to your new standards even when it's hard? It starts with your mindset. You have to believe deep in your core that you're worth it, that you deserve a life of joy, of fulfillment, of abundance, that you're capable of achieving whatever you set your mind to. Because here's the thing, your beliefs shape your actions. If you believe you're capable of greatness, you'll act accordingly. If you believe you're destined for mediocrity, you'll act accordingly. So take a hard look at your beliefs. Are they serving you? Are they empowering you? Or are they holding you back? And if they're holding you back, it's time to change them. It's time to replace those limiting beliefs with empowering ones, because when you change your beliefs, you change your actions. And when you change your actions, you change your life. Another key to staying consistent is accountability. You have to hold yourself accountable to your new standards. And that means being honest with yourself. It means taking a hard look at your actions every single day and asking yourself, did I live up to my standards today? Did I do the things I said I was going to do? Did I take the steps necessary to create the life I want? And if the answer is no, you have to course correct. You have to get back on track, because here's the thing. Every day is a new opportunity to raise your standards. Every day is a new opportunity to take one step closer to the life you want. And if you let one bad day turn into 2 or 3 or 4, you're slipping back into old habits. You're lowering your standards. And when you lower your standards, your life will reflect that. It has to. Finally, raising your standards requires resilience. It requires the ability to bounce back from setbacks, to keep going when it feels like the world is against you. Because here's the truth. You're going to face challenges. You're going to face obstacles. You're going to face moments where it feels like everything is falling apart. But those moments don't define you. What defines you is how you respond to them. Do you give up, or do you keep going? Do you let the challenge defeat you, or do you rise above it? The choice is yours. And when you choose resilience, when you choose to keep going no matter what, you're raising your standards. You're showing yourself in the world that you're not willing to settle for less than you deserve. And when you do that, your life has to change. It's not a maybe. It's not a possibility. It's a certainty. So here's my challenge to you. Over the next 30 days, raise your standards. Decide right here, right now, that you're no longer willing to tolerate the things that are holding you back. Set new, non-negotiable standards for your life, and then back them up with action. Show up every single day, even when it's hard. Hold yourself accountable, build resilience, and watch as your life transforms. Because when you raise your standards, your life has to change. It's not a maybe. It's not a possibility. It's a certainty. So what are you waiting for? The power is in your hands. Use it. You know, one of the biggest reasons people don't achieve the transformation they desire is because they're waiting for perfection. They think, I'll start when I have the perfect plan, or I'll take action when I feel 100% ready. But here's the truth. Perfection is a trap. It's an illusion. It doesn't exist. And if you're waiting for it, you're going to be waiting forever. Transformation isn't about being perfect. It's about making progress. It's about taking small, consistent steps forward, even when you don't have it all figured out, even when you're scared, even when you feel like you're not good enough. Because here's the secret. Progress compounds. Small wins lead to big results. And over time, those small wins add up to something extraordinary. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you felt truly proud of yourself? I'm not talking about the kind of pride that comes from achieving something massive or life-changing. I'm talking about the kind of pride that comes from taking one small step in the right direction. Maybe it was getting up 15 minutes earlier than usual. Maybe it was choosing a healthy meal instead of junk food. Maybe it was having a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Those moments matter. They may seem small, but they're powerful, because every time you take a step forward, no matter how small, you're sending a message to yourself. I'm capable, I'm committed, I'm making progress. And that message builds momentum, it builds confidence, and confidence is the fuel that drives transformation. But here's the thing, most people underestimate the power of small wins. They think, what's the point? It's just one small step. But let me tell you something. Those small steps are everything. They're the building blocks of success. Think about it. If you wanted to build a skyscraper, you wouldn't start by trying to build the top floor first. You'd start with the foundation. You'd lay one brick at a time. And over time, those bricks would add up to something incredible. The same is true for your life. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to start. You just have to take one small step. And then another, and then another, and before you know it, you'll look back and realize how far you've come. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but what if I fail? What if I take a step and it doesn't work out? Here's the truth. Failure is part of the process. It's not something to be afraid of, it's something to embrace. Because every time you fail, you learn something, you grow, you get stronger, and that's how progress happens. It's not a straight line, it's messy, it's unpredictable, but it's also beautiful. Because every step, every stumble, every setback is moving you closer to where you want to be. So don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid of staying stuck. Be afraid of not trying, because the only real failure is giving up on yourself. Let me give you an example. Imagine you want to get in shape. You've been telling yourself for months, maybe even years, that you're going to start working out. But every time you think about it, you feel overwhelmed. You think, I don't have time, I don't have the energy, I don't know where to start. So you put it off. And the longer you put it off, the worse you feel. But here's the thing. You don't have to run a marathon on day one. You don't even have to go to the gym. You just have to take one small step. Maybe that means going for a 10-minute walk. Maybe it means doing 5 push-ups. Maybe it means drinking an extra glass of water. It doesn't matter how small it is. What matters is that you do it. Because once you take that first step, you'll feel a sense of accomplishment. You'll feel proud of yourself. And that feeling will motivate you to take the next step and the next. And before you know it, you'll be in a completely different place than where you started. The same principle applies to any area of your life. Want to improve your relationship? Start by having one meaningful conversation. Want to advance in your career? Start by learning one new skill. Want to feel more fulfilled? Start by doing one thing that brings you joy. It doesn't have to be big, it just has to be consistent. Because consistency is where the magic happens. It's where small wins turn into big results. It's where transformation begins. Now, I know it's not always easy. There will be days when you don't feel like taking action. There will be days when you feel stuck, when you feel like giving up. But here's the thing. Those are the days that matter most. Those are the days that define you. Because anyone can take action when they feel motivated, but true transformation happens when you take action even when you don't feel like it. When you show up for yourself even when it's hard. When you keep going even when you want to quit. That's where the real growth happens. That's where you prove to yourself what you're made of. So here's my challenge to you. For the next 30 days, focus on progress, not perfection. Don't worry about having it all figured out. Don't worry about being perfect. Just take one small step every day and celebrate every win, no matter how small, because those wins are the building blocks of your transformation. The proof that you're capable, that you're committed, that you're making progress. And over time, those small wins will add up to something extraordinary. They'll add up to a life you're proud of, a life you love, a life you've created for yourself. Remember, transformation isn't about being perfect. It's about making progress. So start today. Take one small step and keep going, because you're capable of more than you know, and your best life is waiting for you.